Sorry about that. I had ordered a gift for my wife yesterday, and they needed me to sign for it. It was overnight. Needed me to sign for it, so sorry about that. So now listen. Now it's a message to this, but I'm just using my story to teach the lesson. So now, and I'll probably be on this treadmill. I'm on incline. I'm on 4 incline, but I'm on 3 speed. I'm gonna be on here about an hour, so the video gonna be long. I'm tired already. See how I'm sweating? See all this sweat in my face? And so listen, I told my story. And after exposing myself, I felt so bad. I felt down. I felt like, man, I've been out here, you know, I wrote about it, but most people don't read books. At that time, I probably had only sold a couple hundred books. So nobody had read my story. My high school, when I told them I was going to Oprah, they did a press release, put it on the website because they thought I was going on as an author to get my book promoted. When I told my story, they deleted the page. They deleted the page. People turned on me. People looking at me like a monster, like a villain. My daddy was mad that I told my story like that. My mama and sister, they said I did great. My daddy was mad about it. My wife, for whatever reason, women took it differently than men. I was working at the group home, making $9.50 an hour. I remember the manager called me, a guy. He said, Tony, that story you told, man, I done been through the same thing, even a little worse. The big boss called me, hey Tony, man, the story you told, I done been through the same thing. Another guy called me, other guys calling me, man, I done been through the same thing, man. Hey, man, got physical with me and my girl. I already knew this because I grew up around toxic relationships. But I was angered because I'm like, well, why y'all ain't telling in? I'm up here exposing myself. Y'all around here like knight in shining armor, and you done did the same thing. Why you ain't telling? I was mad, and I felt down. And that's why I wrote Tyra Banks' producer. And then he said, we want you to come on as a guest expert with your book in hand. They knew they had to up the ante to get me on there because I just went on Oprah. So now, I was a featured guest on Oprah, and let me tell you what happened on Oprah. When I'm on Oprah, I'm sitting there beside her. Oprah, give me a call. Give me a call, we'll talk about it. Give me a call. Somebody work for Oprah in here? Give me a call. You know somebody work for Oprah? Send this video to her. Give me a call. So I'm sitting there, I'm 25 years old. No media training. No media training. No publicist, no nothing. And this how God will work for you when you're willing to work. When you're willing to work, this how God will work. A lot of people don't understand this. I'm sitting there, they had me read that email. They played the video of me reading the email. I'm on stage. Oprah asked me questions. It's just the spirit flowing through me. I didn't know what questions she was gonna ask. I ain't had no media training. And I'm answering the question. And later when I read the comments, there was people saying, oh, he gonna offend again. He gonna be the same person. And saying the other thing about the other man too. I was telling my story, I started to cry. And if you know anything about abusers, when you are an abuser, in abusers, a lot of times abusers cry. So when I was crying, I was thinking about the goodness of God. I was thinking about grace, of how my life had been changed, of how I was changing. And it brought me to tears. Robin Givens, the actress, was on the show through teleconference, video. At the end of the show was over, but we did an after talk for the audience. And Robin said, yeah, when Tony started to cry, it reminded me of Mike Tyson, because she used to date Mike Tyson. And you know Mike Tyson was 225 pounds, all muscle, heavyweight boxer. She said Mike Tyson uppercut her. She said Mike used to hit her with uppercuts. 225 pounds. I was 160 pounds soaking wet, and I never punched. I never punched, I never slapped, I never tried to really hurt a woman. And this was a relationship, what had happened with the toxicity, cheating, and all this STD that was going on. So when she said that, that made me mad. I said, listen. I say, Mike Tyson is a monster. In the ring and out the ring. I say, don't ever compare me to Mike Tyson. Because I ain't punched nobody. Mine was pushing and shoving, slanging, yelling, screaming, arguing. It was a physical altercation. But we fell on the bed. I was wanting all this hood, black eyes, bust lips, even like Chris Brown and Rihanna's situation. It was none of that. I say, I was crying because I thought about the grace of God that saved me and changed me. And I didn't become no perfect individual overnight. I went from those type of situations to being verbally abusive, with my words being blunt, being direct, words slicing and cutting. It didn't matter who I was talking to, men, women, family, friends. I was operating from my pain, from my anger, from my failure, from my frustration. Somebody feel me. The way you talk to your kids might be verbally abusive, but it's coming from what your mama did to you, what your daddy did to you, what life has done to you. Yeah, we got to feel it. It's all right to cry. We got to feel it. Because we done wrong, and wrong done been done to us. We done hurt people. We done broken people. And I had to check Robin. Hey, don't play me no Mike Tyson now. Because that's a whole different type of being. He done went through way more than what I done went through. He got way more pain and anger and had millions of dollars and lost it all. That man went through way more than me, Robin. Don't compare us. And she said, no, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean like you like Mike Tyson. I just was saying when you started to cry, you know, Mike, after he would beat me, he would always start crying. And I let it go right there. But I want to tell her, yeah, he's not crying about you. He's crying about all the pain he done been through. You know Mike Tyson's story? Hurt people. He crying about his life. He ain't crying about that. And so we going back and forth. And then, now see me, God hadn't done work on me. I was changing my life. I was on the stage with a man, white man, named Sir, I think his name was. That's a mistake right there. Don't name your son Sir. He gonna have all kind of, I'm just talking because one of y'all son named Sir. But that's disciplinarian right there. If his name's Sir, he's gonna be a disciplinarian. So here I am. Y'all gotta forgive me. I'm up here, got all kind of sweat, spit out the mouth, everything. I'm working out. Y'all forgive me. So here go the man named Sir. So he said, nah, he done sat on the stage trying to look like he done changed his life. See, the Lord gave me more wisdom than that. He was older than me. He probably was in his 30s. He said, you know, and it's just like this. You know, you women, you wanna be the man. You wanna be equal to a man. You wanna be paid like a man. You wanna have the same jobs as men. You want the same, you know, pay, praise, promotion, jobs, respect, everything as a man. But then when you get hit like a man, you can't take it. All of us were like, Oprah was like, oh my goodness, no, stop it right now. This is over. No, that is not right. Oprah, she got hot. But now I tell you how it was different with me. The difference with me was I was trying to do everything I can to walk with God, to live right. God has given me a wisdom beyond my years because my father would always talk to me from a place of wisdom. And he is 20 years older than me. Only 20. I know some of y'all parents 30, 40, 50 years older than me. My dad 20 years older than me. And he would talk to me from a place of wisdom. And he he used to have me read the book of Proverbs every day. So when Oprah producer called me, I told her that an abuser, when the abuser will groom the victim by being nice, by lulling the victim to sleep, building trust, and will isolate the victim from their family, from their friends, and put them on an island so nobody could hear the screams. And I said that because I had been through that. And the producer took and gave that to Oprah. And she said, Oprah is the expert. She give the advice. You just tell your story. You don't get to give advice. I said, okay. So what it showed me is that at 25 years old, God had given me enough wisdom for my wisdom to be taught from the stage on the highest level in the land, the biggest show in the world. God was telling me then, I put something in you that I can use you. Because here Oprah is quoting me. And then when she asked me a question, Tony, she said something to the effect, Tony, why were you abusive? Or why were you that man in that? I said, I had never been affirmed as a man. I didn't know who I was. So, and I'll answer the question. We went to commercial break, and Oprah leaned over. It had been 5 minutes. They go to commercial about every 5 minutes. The producer came up and said, hey, Mr. Gaskins, thank you so much. We're gonna move you back to the front row in the audience with your wife. Oprah leaned over. She put her hand next to me on my chair, and she said, no, leave him here. My 5 minutes turned into 55 minutes because they brought me up 5 minutes in. My 5 minutes turned to 55 minutes, and I was sitting next to Oprah the whole show. I believe she felt the Spirit of God. I believe she felt an anointing. And I believe that's why she told him to leave me there. And I looked her in the eyes, and she could feel my spirit, and she knew that I was not the man that I was talking about. She knew that I had greatness in me. She could tell it. Because a woman don't want a threat sitting next to them, especially when she a billionaire and she got the biggest name in the world. She's not going to let a threat, she's not going to let an evil spirit, she's not going to ask for that person to be left beside her for 55 minutes. And so in a commercial break, she leaned over and she said, Tony, you said you've never been affirmed. What does affirm mean? Now at this point I was floored. Because I'm like, I said something at 25 that she didn't understand at 50 or whatever age she was. And that was mind-boggling to me. Because I was like, wow, you got the largest platform in the world. And you got here without knowing it all. And I'm going to tell you something. Oprah's spirit felt like a innocent, insecure 8th grade girl who is dark-skinned and heavier than her peers. That's you know that girl who, not the loud one now, not the loud one. We know the loud one. My cousin was like that. We know the loud one now. The heavy set, dark-skinned black girl. It's one who is loud. She will wear your behind out. And I'm talking about middle school now. Don't y'all get offended. I'm talking real life, okay? She loud. I had a cousin like that, Crystal. And when I say heavy set, I mean in middle school, my cousin Crystal, her thighs looked like a grown woman thighs, whereas the other girls, it looked like a teenage girl. And Crystal, she was loud. Hey, come here. What you doing? Blah, 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 blah. You will hear her before you see her. But then it's another one of this young lady. Like, food is her escape because she done been through abuse. She done been through abandonment. She done been violated. She overlooked by the boys. She overlooked by the girls. She kind of like a loner, and she may have one good friend. She the sweetest person when you talk to her. She's so nice. She will give you her last bite of food. She will sacrifice for you. She will walk you home. Even if you live further than her, she will do it because she know what pain feel like. She know what loneliness feel like. She know what it feel like to feel isolated and alone, to feel abandoned and abused. She know what it feel like, so she becomes empathetic to every person she meets. She becomes an empath. That's what Oprah's spirit felt like. Tyra Banks' spirit felt the complete opposite. So Oprah's spirit felt like she was broke and struggling. Tyra Banks' spirit felt like she was a billionaire with her nose in the air. Y'all forgive me if y'all later see this. I'm just telling you the honest God truth. This is what I felt in the spiritual realm. So Oprah said, leave him here. So at that point, that let me know she didn't see me like a monster. She didn't see me like an abuser. And in the after show, I was talking to Oprah, and I said, listen, the story I told was from 5 years ago. I said, I done changed my life. I done wrote 2 books. I'm a professional speaker. I'm a coach. I'm helping other people. I said in the commercial break, so when Oprah got done telling my story, she said, Tony has dedicated his life to helping others not go through what he has gone through or not make the mistakes that he has made. And then the show went on. And I can't remember nothing else. I was under the spirit. I can't remember nothing. I can't remember my answers verbatim. All I could really remember is Oprah leaning over and asking me what affirm mean, me telling her I had written 2 books, and I was telling a story from 5 years or 6 years ago, and that I was married for 2 years, my wife right there, and she asked my wife, she said, have he ever put hands on you? My wife, she said one time, and I said, I did not put hands on you. I was trying to hold you. Me and my wife got into an argument. She was mad that I went back to selling drugs. She was trying to leave, and I was hugging her. I was holding her, and she trying to leave. She trying to leave. We ain't had no furniture in the living room, and we fell to the ground, and I'm holding her. A man come upstairs, he was downstairs, he come up, he knock on the door, he say, hey, y'all, stop making all that noise, I'm gonna call the police. Police gonna come over here, you gonna get in trouble. And I said, man, you ain't never had no argument with your wife. He said, yeah, I have. And she dead now. Hold on. I closed the door. I say, see, you're gonna get us in trouble. I just want you to stay, I just want to talk to you. When I realized she didn't want to stay, I let her go. I let her go because I said to myself, I'm a changed man, and if she want to leave to clear her head or whatever, if I hold her, I will have to hurt her to hold her because she is strong. So I will have to use more strength and force to hold her. Now see, this transparent. For some of y'all, this is going to be triggering. This transparent, but I want you to understand that this is a part of life and relationships. It's also a part of you growing and you using your story for God's glory, and you changing and you becoming new, renewed, and better. So my wife said that, and I said, no, I did not. She's saying, did I hit you? I ain't say all that. I said, I did not hit you. I tried to hold you. And then she was like, yeah, you know, you're right. Because see, the way my wife, she look at it like, you can't hold that. You holding me and putting your hands on me. But what Oprah was talking about, she was talking about this. That's what she was talking about. And so I had to clarify that. And Oprah was like, okay. And so here we are. I tell my story. And then after that, I go on Tyra and they fly me to New York by myself. See, Tyra and they ain't got no money. So Oprah flew me and my wife. Put my wife in the audience with me. I remember being in a limo after Oprah. First, before we got in the limo, we walked across the street to Oprah's little store. She had a little store across the street where you could buy memorabilia. I remember a white lady came up to me. She said, "You did so well. And thank you so much for mentioning Jesus Christ and how he has changed your life." Because I was talking about Jesus in a metaphorical way. And Oprah said, "Are you talking about Christ?" I said, "Yes, but I call him Father." My mom was mad about that because of the Kojic Church of God in Christ, or somebody else called Jesus the Father. And she was like, "That ain't our denomination." I said, "Mama, it was just a metaphor. Like, I call him Father. Like, what I'm supposed to say? I call him brother." I'm like, he Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. They all, the Trinity, 3 is 1. I'm just in the moment, just talking, just trying to sound deep. And because I said, I found out about a carpenter who was caring, who was kind, who was loving, he was gentle, and he sacrificed it all for me. And she said, "Are you talking about Christ?" I didn't even want to say it because I was on her show and I didn't know if you could promote Jesus Christ. So I was talking about him as a carpenter, a Jewish carpenter. And she said, "Are you talking about Christ?" And I said, "Yes, I call him Father." And so the Christians, boy, they were hyped. But now the naysayers, they were like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, all of y'all find Jesus, and yeah, that faith so-called changed you. Yeah, that don't change you." And all the experts would say, faith in God can't change an abuser or controller or whatever y'all would call it. That's what they would say. But anybody that knows Jesus know that that's not true. That you could change. If you won't change and you're willing to walk like Christ, talk like Christ, you could change. And so here we are. I remember we got in the limo and my wife was rubbing my leg. She rubbed my leg. She said, "You are such a man." She said, "You are such a man. You did so amazing." She always has been a voice of reason. She always have motivated and pushed me. Even when I took my pain out on her, with the way I talked to her or the way I treat her, she always supported me and pushed me. And when I was down and I was suffering from my concussions in college, having 100 concussions, and it changed your brain chemistry. It changed your personality. And that's what I was playing football in college when I went through that incident with my ex. And a lot of people don't understand brain trauma and your brain being bashed up against your skull every single day. The sport of football really ought to be banned. The sport of boxing too. Anything that had that brain trauma, but yet we love it, we watch it, we support it. It's humans, it's how we is. And I suffered from that. But I went on Tyra Banks, and I used to, before work, I write in the Oprah site, write in the Tyra site, and write in the CNN. So it was a 3-for-1. My vision came to fruition because I got on Oprah. And because I got on Oprah, the producer at CNN picked up the Oprah show and showed me and Oprah and talked about what Oprah did in this show. So it was like, oh, I got on CNN too. And that was one of my people. And then I got on Tyra Banks. The 3 shows that I had been writing, I got on all 3 of them, back to back. And then after doing Tyra, see, when I went to Tyra, I was in the backstage. I'm 25 years old. It was literally, Oprah was on Thursday, Tyra was on the next Tuesday. The irony of this is, I had wrote a book in 2007. Steve Harvey had wrote a book in 2009. He called it the 90-day rule in 2009. In my book, it was called a 3-month rule. But those of y'all don't know, 3 months is 90 days. 90 days is 3 months. So I had the 3-month rule. Steve Harvey ghostwriter, and him changed it to the 90-day rule. We had the same rule. Just mine was saying that a player is not gonna wait longer than 3 months for sex. And his was kind of saying, don't have sex inside of 3 months. So it was similar. When I went to Tyra, Steve was on the show. He was doing his recording. And I don't know if it was live recorded or if it was whatever. But I could sit in the back room, I'm listening to Steve. I could hear his voice. He out there on the stage. And here I am, the younger version of him. It was God showing me, like, this who got now, but you got next. And the producer came back there. She was an intimidating black lady because she was loud, she was aggressive, she was real assertive, she was taller than me, she was bigger than me. I was a little scared of her, I ain't gonna lie. She was like, okay, Tony, tell me what you're gonna say. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. She was like, huh? You gotta tell me what you're gonna say. I said, I'm gonna tell my story. I'm gonna say, listen, I was toxic, controlling, and I done changed my life, this and that. She was like, come on, this is not Oprah. This is Tyra. I'm thinking in my head, duh, y'all terrible. Oprah ain't make me rehearse. The producer ain't come back here trying to give me no lines. So I'm getting mad. And she's like, this is Oprah. I mean, this is Tyra, not Oprah. We are not boring like Oprah. We are live. I was like, okay. So because I didn't rehearse for her, she was like, man, this guy, young, he country, he sound dumb, and how he an author? That's how she was talking to me. So they waited till the whole show, 58 minutes long, the show an hour, or whatever, however long. On the last 30 seconds, they came to me. And Tyra say, so Tony, we have Tony Gaskins, author of What Daddy Never Told His Little Girl. My book come up on the screen. So Tony, you've gone through some things like this. Talk to the young people up here on the stage who are in abusive relationships and tell them your story. And the spirit took over. The one thing I remember I said, love speaks languages of its own, and abuse isn't one of them. The crowd went crazy. They were clapping, they were cheering, and Tyra say, preach, preacher. Now, mind you, I was sitting next to a doctor who she go on all the shows, Laura Bierman or somebody, and she was a psychologist. And she had spoke before me. Crowd ain't say nothing. They ain't clap, they ain't say nothing because she was clinical. I came in there from the heart. Now the producer was looking like, so she was like, you did amazing. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. The butt was back there bullying me. I told you I got it. Because they didn't understand the Holy Spirit. They didn't understand that. They understand having lines, having lyrics, being rehearsed. Because when I went on Oprah, she was reading off a card the whole time. Because it got to be scripted for them because it's on TV. I'm Holy Spirit led. They couldn't understand that. The carnal mind don't understand the things of the spiritual. So it worked out. I remember people calling me, different states. Hey man, from college. Man, I was listening to Tyra Banks and then boom, here it go, I hear your voice. And so I got back home, and because I had went on Oprah, I had went on Tyra, I wrote my local news. So now the star from Channel 10, she came into my house and interviewed me in my apartment. We was in an apartment. And then the other news station, they was going back and forth on it. They didn't get me on there. And then I wrote the 700 Club on TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network. They was in Virginia. They flew from Virginia to Florida, came into my apartment, and they filmed a segment on me, but they said, we don't want to talk about abuse. We want to tell your street story. You being a drug dealer. So they told a different angle to be kind of fresh. So now my whole story was out there. From being a toxic boyfriend, and being a drug dealer. My whole story out there. So at that point, I'm like, now I could go to work. Now I could do what God called me to do, because I done exposed myself. The devil ain't got nothing to tell. Ain't no expose now. I done exposed myself. And then any mistake I made, any bad choice I made, I wrote about it in a book. I talked about it in a video. And I continue to expose myself. Now I tell you all that to say, you hearing from a man that work alone to do those things. And all I did was put one foot in front of the other. I'm talking to you today, and I'm literally putting one foot in front of the other while I'm talking to you. So it's like, so many people, they're like, hey, I want to get out my situation. You got to think outside of the box. You got to get outside of your situation in your mind first. Because it's like, oh, I want to move. Or I want to do this. Listen, get creative. You could write somebody who needs your services. It's a lot of people in my position that don't have an assistant. They don't have an intern. They don't have a social media manager. That you watching them online when you can offer your services and they can afford to pay you. And you might have a gift or skill. You maybe could be a stylist. You maybe could be an event planner. But you got to think outside of the box. See, the thing about the mind is when we stressed and when we going through, everything's shut down. But you got to find a way to breathe. You got to learn how to breathe. You got to learn how to inhale, hold it for a few seconds, then exhale. You got to learn how to find peace. You got to learn how to create peace so that you can think, so that you can think and process as if you have no problems in your life. What would you do if there were no limitations? What would you do if there were no roadblocks? What would you do if you had no problems in your life? What would you do? And that's what you got to do. So here it was, I'm 25 years old. And from the age of 23, when I published my book, I started pitching myself to media. And knowing I had no team or nothing, knowing my book was full of grammar errors and typos. It was self-published, but I was pushing that book like it was the best thing since sliced bread. I was pushing it like it was a diamond, but it was cubic zirconia. But I was pushing it. And it gave me something to push. It gave me something to lead with. It's what they call a lead generating tool. And I used it and I pushed it and it opened doors. And in Proverbs say, your gifts will make room for you and bring you before great men. It was the fact that I was an author that it caught Oprah producer's attention. And so when she called me, she said, I know about your book, What Daddy Never Told His Little Girl. We're going to talk about that, but let's hear your story first. And then she called my publisher. It was an internet publisher. So it was self-published, but they do the work for you. She called him and said, hey, this is producer at the Oprah Winfrey Show. Can you send me a copy of Tony Gaskin's book, What Daddy Never Told His Little Girl? Them people took and printed up thousands of books and sent the books to Amazon. Them books, that's why they still selling today. I took it out of print years ago, but because they had printed so many, and that's what they get, being greedy. Because they had over 30,000 authors. They treat us like rats in a maze. But when Oprah called them, now they gonna call me personally. Knowing they got over 30,000 authors, they call me personally like, hey, do you know the Oprah Winfrey Show called us? I say, yeah, but they're not gonna promote the book. They just reading my book personally, the producer, to fact check, to make sure that I'm not lying, because this is Oprah. So if I come on there and saying this and that, and it's a lie, her brand take a hit. She say, yeah, but still, they may, because she asked for a copy of the book. If she mentions it just one time, that could sell 1 million copies. I say, listen, they're not gonna promote the book. She already told me. And it's like, I'm 25, I'm self-published. Oprah, if she gonna promote, she promote a A-list person who been in the game for 20 years. She's not gonna promote a kid who 25 years old, who just jumped off the porch. I'm trying to tell the lady this, but they focus on greed. So they printed up a bunch of books. Them books ain't sell, because ain't nobody know my last name. Oprah didn't say the book title. And then when Tyra posted the book, I got a royalty check from them saying I sold 70 books. How I sell 70 books on national TV when I had sold 70 books to my Facebook friends? The royalty check before that. I bet if I sent an auditor in there, they lied about so many books, but they probably lied about the amount of books I sold because they printed up so many from Oprah, cost them so much money, they were trying to make their money back from when I went on Tyra. So, but I ain't got the time, I ain't care. Y'all go ahead, steal money. They got sued later by other authors for stealing money. And they had to change their name and everything. And so, here it was, no team, no none of that. I'm pitching myself, and I'm getting on these shows. And my point to you is, you got to put one foot in front of the other. You got to get out there, and you got to make it happen. You got to think outside of the box. I wish I could tell you every situation, for every scenario. If you stuck on this, your brain stuck, go on mymentor.life while I got my sessions open and book a purpose session or a branding session. I don't want to talk about relationships. We got all these videos on here about relationships. I don't want to talk about relationships. If you want to talk about relationships, hire a different coach. But if you want to talk about your purpose, your brand, then come to me. And when we talk, I'm going to help give you a plan of something you could do that you could take action on. Because it's not hard, but just sometimes we can't see ourselves from the outside looking in. And we be stuck. And we be stuck in our ways. And we just there. But it's so much opportunity. It's so much money for you to make using your gift. You could be a millionaire from your gift while you a thousandaire on somebody else's job. I didn't make millions of dollars working for somebody. I made millions of dollars walking in my gift, walking in my calling, using my abilities. And you got it in you. You got it in you, and you got to take action. You got to take action, and you got to think outside the box. You can't get stuck feeling sorry for yourself, and you cannot expect anything from anybody. You got to be willing to work for it. Expect nothing from no one, and be willing to work for everything. I got a quote that say that went viral. You got to be willing to work for everything, and get out here and make it happen. And stop just sitting there, because a lot of people, they'll write me, and they kind of write me like for a handout. You know, like, hey, what can you do for me? I can't do nothing for you. I can't do nothing for you. You got to do for you. You got to take action. You got to be humble enough to go work 2-3 jobs. You got to be humble enough to go stand outside of that celebrity office in your city and ask them, can you be their manager? And you dress to the nines. I mean, be their assistant, be their intern. Tell them to give you an opportunity. You want to prove yourself, that they ain't got to pay you. And you work for them all day long, doing whatever they tell you to do. And then at night, you go work the night shift in the warehouse or somewhere else. And you sleeping 3-4 hours in the 24 hours, but you grinding and you making it happen. You being creative. You got kids, you need to be there with your kids. Do customer service for 2-3 different companies. Be a virtual assistant. You got American Express. You got Bank of America. You got all these different people, they need customer service reps. You could do that. You got a lot of speakers and teachers and YouTubers who need a virtual assistant. You could take and make you a website yourself. Pay $20 a year. Go to GoDaddy.com, Buyer.com. Get the template that they give you on the website builder. Put your picture in there. Change some of the words. They already got all the pictures. They got all the words. You can use exactly what they give you. Or if you could change the picture, change some words, make the site yours. Now just start DMing people. When they see you in your business suit, when they see your face looking good, your hair looking good, your teeth looking good, your body looking good, they see you taking care of yourself, They're gonna say, whoa, you reaching out to me, so your company manage social media? So you get on My Mentor USA, the Instagram, My Mentor USA, it's the Instagram for my company. You see the post on there? I don't post those. A young lady posts those, and I pay her $450 a week. That's a lot of money. And she go and she do other stuff for me. So I say, hey, my client need a logo. She go to the freelance site, she get a logo made, $20. Business cards made, website made, design made for apps. She find a developer from the freelance site. She doing this work for me. My screens that's broke. I say, hey, can you find me a 5-star rated screen repair company in my city? She find a company. She set up the appointment for them to come give me a quote. The young man just came out here 9 o'clock this morning to give me the quote. She doing that $450 a week. That's extra money. She might have 1 hour of work a day. And when you look at the course of the week, she just putting in the instructions for the person on the freelance site. Hey, can you make this? Then her work is done. So she just sending a few emails, making a few phone calls. She don't have 8 hours of work a day. She might work 5 hours a week, and she making $450 an hour. But she got in position because she was making $420, working as an office assistant where she had to get up and go to the office and be there 8 hours a day and do work. Now she get to be home. She could go to the cafe for lunch. She could go to Pilates. She could go to the spin class and then just send emails for me in between. And she still don't manage my main emails, my support email and all that. She don't manage none of that. You see what I'm saying? But she got in position. She hired me for a coaching call. I heard what she do. I had a need that needed to be met. She invested in herself about relationships. Found out what she do. I offered her a job. She in a whole another state. She on the other side of the country. It ain't nothing, ain't no funny business. We don't even FaceTime. We don't do none of that. We talk through email and text. Ain't no funny business. You see what I'm saying? But now she got an opportunity. And then if she get ready to form a company, then I'll be able to bring on a lot of my students from the academy who need an assistant. And she'll be able to hire other assistants, teach them how to be a good virtual assistant. And now she'll have a company. That $450 a week that y'all paying, she could be paying the person $300. And her company getting $150. You see what I'm saying? But it's about getting out there, taking that step, thinking outside of the box. And that's what you got to do. You can't sit and just wallow in your pain, wallow in your depression. You got to think, and then you got to do. And that's what I've been doing. And I'm working on me, but I'm thinking, I say, okay, my brain, my personality, these concussions, what can I do? I thought up a project. I reached out to one of my clients. Hey, do you know somebody in this space? Tony, let me think about it. Yeah, boom, found somebody. Okay, boom, connect me with that person. Now me and this person finna partner on this project to help people who done had brain trauma. You see what I'm saying? Just a couple phone calls, just thinking outside of the box. At the same time I'm looking, I say, what else I need? I say, you know what? I like to keep my hands and feet done, looking nice, trim nails. I want to keep my face clean with a facial. But I don't want to be going into the nail salon and it's a bunch of women and I'm the only man in there. So I want to create a men's grooming salon. Hands, feet, and facials for the well-groomed man. Eventually might add a little haircuts, a little trim up, a little beard shaving or something. So now I'm looking for locations. I'm looking for locations, looking at the price of the rent, putting some money to the side, because that's a business I want to do because it's going to meet my own personal need. You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean. You got to think out the box like that. What do you need? What can you provide? What service do you have? And this is the problem. Now, when I tell this story, then people start emailing me. No, it ain't. I'm not the one. I already got what I need. You got to go find the other people like me that you following on YouTube, on Instagram, that might need your service. that might need some help. You got to go find them. Not me now. I'm not in need of nothing. And I got an audience. So if I need something, I go to my Patreon. Hey, casting for this here show. Hey, casting for this. I go to Patreon. After Patreon, I go to the Blessed Tribe, Blessed Business Tribe. Hey, casting for this. So now I got a built-in thing, but it's other people out here that they need an assistant. They need somebody, and that could be you. And so you got to think like that. I walked 3 miles while I was talking to y'all. Took 1 hour. They say 438 calories. Vertical feet, 634. Y'all see this sweat on me? It's a good burn on this incline walk. Good burn. So listen to me. Think outside the box and go on get out there. Go on get out there and make it happen. You know, go on think outside the box. It's like a young lady wrote me, she was like, she want to move. You know, she ain't got the money to live in the city she in, but she got elderly parents. Listen, your parents will move. Your parents will move. Put them in the car. Take the money you got. Get on Poshmark. Go to Poshmark. It's an app. You sell all your shirts, all your shoes, everything you don't really wear. You take that money, you drive to Iowa. You drive to somewhere in Georgia, somewhere in Alabama. You go in, you fill out, you say, listen, I got 3 months worth of rent. I got 2 elderly parents. I need a place to stay. This place won't have you. You go across the street to the next place. You're dealing with a human. You tell them your story. You say, I'm escaping an abusive relationship. I'm escaping a rent too high in New York. Why y'all stand in New York when you got Alabama, Mississippi, Florida? You stand in New York crying and complaining about the cost of living. Get in your car and go to another state. You could stay in one of these southern states. You could be in a hotel for a year for the price you pay 1 month in New York. You got to get out your comfort zone. You got to get uncomfortable. You can't just stay there and wallow. Oh, this where I'm comfortable at. I was raised in the Bronx. I was raised in Harlem. I was raised in Bed-Stuy. And I was this, No, get out that high behind rent and come to you somewhere where your money could stretch. You take and make a plan and say, listen, and I'm going to tell you, sometimes you got to run off on the plug. It might take 3 months to get evicted. If your rent $1,700 a month and you ain't got no money to save, you sitting there until they evict you. But that's 1,700 times 3. Now, this ain't good financial advice, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You can get that right with your credit later. You can send them a check when you hidden, when you doing good. Listen, the borrower becomes servant to the lender, but you can pay them back when you get the opportunity. But see, this how I think. This ain't financial advice. That's why I'm not no financial advisor. But listen, if you're back against the wall, they in business to lose money. Businesses lose money. Don't be no slave to no rent. That's what they get a write-off. They gonna write that off. They overcharging on the rent for you to miss your rent. That's why the rent's so high. Because when you miss yours, somebody else paying your rent because y'all paying double what they paying on their mortgage for the building. So 1,700 times 2, that's 3,400. You add another $2,000, that's 5,400 minus 3, that's $5,100. You go to Georgia, you go to Mississippi, you go to Florida with $5,100, you're going to be able to get into an apartment. You're going to be able to get into an apartment. You could stay in an Airbnb for a month, for a week, whatever. And then you could go, it's so many people need workers. I was just shadowing a neurosurgeon and she says she cannot find workers. She can't find good medical coder biller. People need work. You could go get hired in another state in 1 day. Your first check gonna come in about 3 weeks. The 3 months that you saved up your rent, that you could, cause you ain't had nothing extra to save, them 3 months, that give you enough time to stay in an Airbnb in a new state and then start getting checks. Now when you start getting these checks, now you got the checks because you working at this tech startup, you working at McDonald's, you working in the warehouse, you working. So now this tech startup or whatever you working, now you getting a check, now you can pay your rent. See, you got to think outside the box and you got to get uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable. You could go down and do a one-way rental. You could do a one-way rental from New York, LaGuardia to the Atlanta airport. A one-way rental. You rent you a Suburban. It might take you 2 days to drive. That's going to cost you $300 in that Suburban. You do a one-way. If you go to book the one-way and it don't have a one-way, then you book a round trip. And because they want their car, online may say we don't got a one-way. You book LaGuardia back to LaGuardia, but you take that car and you turn it in Atlanta. They're going to gladly take it. They're going to charge your car an extra fee. It might be up to $250, a transfer fee. It is what it is. Because when you went to book it online, you're talking to a computer, not to a human. So you see how I'm saying? You see how I work around the system? You see, I figure out a way to make it happen. But see, when you go to school and you let school program you, and then when you work for somebody else on their job, you become a rat in the maze. And the door is open, the roof is out. You a rat, you could jump out the maze. But you don't even realize you could jump right over the wall and be free. Because you're so trapped, you're like, oh, I'm so scared to mess up my credit. It's credit. That credit, this business. This is business. Credit go up and down. I have a 550 today, and next month I have a 750. That's credit. It's a game. You're not finna ruin your life. I done bought G-Wagons with a 500 credit score. You hear what I'm telling you? That's credit. Them people ain't worried about that. Yeah, they try to red tape and all that, and yeah, they say, oh, we're gonna charge you extra interest or whatever for your credit. Listen, forget all that. That's the cost of doing business. Okay, they charge you interest. Okay, you're gonna get your credit up, and then your interest gonna get low. You can refinance. You see what I'm saying? You got to get out the rat race, and you got to do what it takes. You got to do what it takes to make that change and stop staying stuck. Stop staying stuck. Open your mouth and ask somebody, can I be your intern? Can I be your assistant? Can I be your road manager? I'll work for free for 3 months because you done saved up 3 months worth of rent that you ain't paid. Now you got that eviction notice, but guess what? Before you get evicted, you go to them people and you tell them about your hardship. God will give you favor with that management office, and they say, you know what? We're not going to put this on your credit. We understand what you're going through. We got a hardship grant that we got from EIDL, from the SBA, and that we could cover rent. Boom. Because you open your mouth and because you ask. You have not because you ask not. You get online and you Google nonprofit organizations that help with rent. Foundations that help with rent. You're going to find that foundation. It might be in another state. It might be in your same state. And they're going to say, okay, boom, you went through this. Oh, you finna move. We got a grant for $5 million to help us pay rent in these times. Boom, your rent is paid. Okay, you out of there. You gone. Just like that. You see what I'm saying? So your credit might not even take a hit. For the financial advisor who mad with me giving this advice, listen, you got to do what you got to do. You can't get stuck on those numbers. You can't get caught up in all of this stuff. You can't get caught up in all that when your life need a change. I remember I'm about to get evicted from an apartment. I called my daddy, who is a financial coach, a budget coach. He said, son, that's all the money you got right now. He said, if the letter say you gonna pay rent and still get evicted, then just let that eviction go to your credit and you gonna use that money for first and last month rent to get into a new place. I did just that. And the apartment complex didn't never put it on my credit report. Look at that. But I was in a new place. Because I had fell on hard time when I was a young man. This before I was married and all that. And so you see what I'm saying? You got to be willing to take action. And you got to be willing to trust the process, to trust God, to put one foot in front of the other and get out there and make it happen. You got to be willing to go. It ain't gonna be pretty. It ain't gonna be pretty. It ain't always gonna make all the sense in the world. But let me tell you, stop begging. Stop begging. It's different than open your mouth and tell them what you're going through. Stop begging. Stop expecting something for free. Stop expecting something for nothing. Make a sacrifice, make an investment, and make a move. And I'm telling you, your life's going to be better for it. I had to have a car now about repossessed. Actually. I had to have lights off. I had to have water off. I had to be evicted. I had to go through all of that to get here. I had to be on government cheese, WIC, food stamps, getting SSI for my son. I had to go through all of that to get here. All of that. Had to live off $25 for 2 weeks. Every single paycheck after paying bills, we had $25 left for 2 whole weeks. We had to go to Wendy's and eat the dollar menu every day. The 99-cent chicken sandwich. If you get 2 a day, that's $2 a day times 14, that's $28. That's $28. And that's how me and my wife was living in the beginning of our marriage. No furniture. Our whole bed, mattress, frame, everything costed $99 from the mattress firm warehouse. $99. Our TV was a $50 TV that my wife had for a decade. No couch, no sofa, no dining room table. We had our bed, an old TV, and our son crib, and $25 every 2 weeks. I had to go through all of that, making $9.50 an hour, working 40 hours a week for them, sometimes 55 hours or something like that. 56 hours. Sometimes 64 hours. And then go work 40 hours in my brand, building my brand, pitching myself to Oprah every day, Tyra every day, CNN every day, pitching myself. I got on MySpace and I added 400 people a day. I got on Facebook and I added 200 friends a day. People I never met, never knew. People was reporting me to Facebook. I get messages from Facebook saying, we getting a lot of reports that you adding people you don't know. You keep doing this, we gonna suspend your account. Okay, suspend my account. I'm trying to get the word out about this book. 200 people a day on Facebook, 400 people a day on MySpace. I'm writing every single person. David E. Talbert, the stage play. He writes stage plays. I saw his play on BET. I didn't even think the play was good, but he was on BET. I went on MySpace. I sent him a message at 24 years old. Before I went on Oprah, he wrote me back. He said, come out to California. I want to meet you. I went to California. I met up with him. He brought me to his house. He offered me a tour, to go on tour with him for $300 a week. That's what I was making on my job, but I turned it down because I was married with my wife and my son, and I didn't want to leave him. But I had the opportunity to go on tour. I helped him cast his play. I told him to cast Brian White. I told him to cast Candy Burrs because I had met them already through Twitter because my Twitter had them blew up. But I still was working a job, $9.50 an hour, and David E. Talbert started to mentor me. I started to reach out to all different kind of people. I started to meet all kind of celebrities because my Twitter was blowing up. And I'm working, making $9.50 an hour. These people saw a picture of me and Oprah. They thought I was a millionaire. I remember writing quotes about the struggle, and people would comment, what do you know about the struggle? You a millionaire. Because they saw the picture with me and Oprah and did not know that I made $19,900 a year as a grown man, that my family was living off $20,000 a year. Now people see me to the tune of millions, but don't know the story. Don't know what I had to suffer. Don't know what I had to go through. Don't know what I had to put up with. Don't know how many times I had to chew the cud. Don't know how many times I had to bite my tongue. Don't know how many times me and my wife was trying to look the part because we was around these celebrities and she got on fake Coach purses that I paid $30 from at the swap meet. I got on fake Louis Vuitton shoes. She got on fake Louis Vuitton shoes. She got a fake Louis Vuitton purse. She had on a $69 wedding ring. That was a 3-carat cubic zirconia. $69 from off of HSN. It was rose gold. The thing turned green and black. It turned her finger green. That's what she was wearing every day with pride. People don't know the story. People don't know the story, but they see the glory. Listen, you got to go through to get to. It ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be pretty. Ain't no handouts. Everything got to be earned. Everything got to be worked for. One of my mentees, the GAs from the team, they say, trust your work. Listen to me. Everything got to be worked for. And when you get out here and you willing to make it happen and you stop making excuses, you start feeling sorry for yourself, you willing to do what you got to do, guess what? It's going to pay off. It ain't going to be long. You ain't going to be struggling forever. It's going to pay off. Hey, this Tony Gas, I keep walking, I'm looking at his mirror, and I'm like, buddy, he thigh looking good, so I'm about to do me some more squats. Hey, God bless you. We'll talk soon.